Good evening, Chair Rasmussen. The time is now 5:15, and you can call the meeting to order.
Thank you so much, Bo. I appreciate that. So I'd like to welcome everybody to the November 18th joint meeting of the San Mateo County Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Commission. I will go ahead and pass the floor over to Bo, who will explain how members of the audience can participate in this meeting and receive Spanish translation.
Members of the public, live interpretation of this entire meeting will be provided in Spanish. To access live interpretation services in Zoom, click the interpretation globe in icon on your Zoom webinar controls and select Spanish language. At this time, I would like my colleague, either Karen or Kenya, to provide these instructions in Spanish.
Thank you. Muy buenas tardes a todos, a las personas que requieran de interpretación en español. Favor de accesar al canal de español. Lo pueden hacer al calce de la pantalla en el globo terráqueo. Pulsan el globo y escogen Spanish o español para escuchar toda esta reunión en español. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So we are at the item where we receive public comment for any item that is not on the agenda. What could we call for public comment?
Members of the public, if you would like to make a public comment, please bring a speaker slip to the clerk during this time. For those of you joining this meeting online, please use the raise hand feature on Zoom, and you will be given 2 minutes to speak. Does anyone have a public comment on any topic that's not on the agenda?
Okay, seeing none, we'll go on to
comments.
We'll go ahead and do roll call, please.
Mm-hmm. Vice Chair Huber Levy.
Present.
Vice Chair Ginevra.
Here.
Commissioner Ali.
Here.
Commissioner Blanco.
Present.
Commissioner Bocanegra. Commissioner Chen. Commissioner Clemmer. Commissioner Ling.
Here.
Commissioner Patton.
Here.
Commissioner Venkatesh. Commissioner Yuan.
Here.
And Chair Rasmussen.
Here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Next up is the agenda review and approval. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as distributed?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Second.
Commissioner Bocanegra makes a motion. Can I have a second? Yeah. Okay, Commissioner Ling, the second. Thank you for that. And so now we're moving on to the exciting part of the night where we are going to swear in our new commissioners. And so, Your Honor, I will go ahead and pass the floor over to you. Both of our incoming commissioners have the commissioner oath as well as the oath of confidentiality in front of them.
Wonderful. And thank you. Good evening, everybody. This is Judge Edizade speaking. So where is Selena Chen? Could you raise your hand? Oh, there you are. Okay, thank you. And let's see. Let me look. I have the oaths in front of me. Where is Enya Yan? Okay, great. Can I ask you both to please stand and raise your right hands? All right. Record should reflect they are standing and raising their right hands. And I'm advised that you have your oath in front of you, so I can go a little faster and then you can repeat after me. So,
Thank you.
Someone's being talked to there, so I don't want to start just yet. All right. Please state each of your names.
I, Selena Chen.
And Enya, state your name, please.
I, Enya Rin.
Okay. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies. Please repeat.
Do solemnly
solemnly
swear
swear
that I
I
will support and defend the Constitution
Constitution
of the United States and the
and the
Constitution of the State of California
Against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic.
foreign and domestic.
Are you both speaking?
Yes.
Okay. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I take this obligation freely without
any mental reservation or purpose of
purpose of
evasion.
evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties I am about to enter.
And
That I will well and faithfully discharge the duties that I am about to enter.
Well, congratulations. You are now commission members. And yes, indeed. Now, the next oath that I'm going to read is the oath of confidentiality. Okay, so the purpose of this oath of confidentiality is to ensure that all commissioners understand and acknowledge their responsibility to maintain the confidentiality of information related to juveniles. Each commissioner is required to sign this oath as a condition of service, affirming their commitment to uphold all applicable laws and ethical standards protecting the privacy of youth. Thus, I will administer the oath of confidentiality. Recognizing that all court matters are confidential, I, please state your name, and please stand. So just read the first, recognizing that all juvenile matters are confidential. I, please state your name.
Recognizing that all juvenile court matters are confidential, I, Anya Yan,
As a member of the San Mateo County Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Commission, agree to keep all potentially identifying youth information, case records, observations, and any other protected information confidential.
as a member of the San Mateo County Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Commission, agree to keep all potentially identifying youth information, case records, observations, and any other protected information confidential.
I agree to exercise discretion, diligence, and integrity in conducting the business of the commission and to ensure that all information obtained through commission activities is used solely for the purpose of fulfilling the commission's duties and responsibilities under law.
I agree to exercise discretion, diligence, and integrity in conducting the business of the commission and to ensure that all information obtained through commission activities is used solely for the purpose of fulfilling the commission's duties and responsibilities under law.
I acknowledge that I have read, understood, and agreed to abide by this oath of confidentiality, as well as the operating policies of the San Mateo County Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Commission.
I acknowledge that I have read, understand, and agree to abide by this oath of confidentiality, as well as the operating policies of the San Mateo County Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Commission.
Congratulations to both of you. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Honor.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Welcome aboard. Okay, next up on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for August 26th. Can I make this as a joint motion for both minutes, or do they have to be? Do a joint? Okay. So for the sake of time, I'm looking for a motion to approve the August 26th, 2025 minutes, as well as the September 30th, 2025 minutes as distributed. And of course, we're open to take any edits.
I'll make that motion.
Make that motion? Okay, that's Commissioner Vice Chair Ginevro. Looking for a second? Okay, Commissioner Bocanegra. Thank you so much for that. A roll call vote, please. Or do we want to just do aye? Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes as distributed for August 26th and September 30th, 2025, say aye.
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 All those opposed? All those wishing to abstain? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Through the
sir.
chair,
Yes.
if I may, I'd like to move so quickly. I want to make sure that we acknowledge our representative from the San Mateo County Youth Commission. He's here with us tonight.
Oh, great. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. So now we are up to our system partner updates. And Ron Reyes sent in a report that he's unfortunately not with us this week. He's traveling. He's at a conference. And so he sent in a report that I'm happy to share. Okay, do you have it? Okay, would you like to do it? Sure. Okay, thank you.
So yes, Ron provided us with a report for the data from the past 3 weeks. There were total 29 case assignments, 12 detentions. 4 of these detentions contained the serious 707B offense allegations. There were 17 out of custody arraignments. 5 of the petitions contained, again, serious 707B offenses allegations. There were no sealings in the past 3 weeks. In terms of the Miranda hotline, there were 20 calls to the Miranda hotline for consultations from arresting agencies. The attorneys provide the full 20 consultations, and all youth invoke their right to remain silent 100% of the time. We also, testing the microphones here. It's still a little buzzy. Ooh, this one's worse. Okay, I think this one's better. Yeah, this. The age of the youth that we provided the Miranda hotline provided consultation were 1 18-year-old, 14, 16, and 17-year-olds, 1 15-year-old, and 5 youth who were 14 years and younger. And Ron apologizes for not being able to join tonight, but very diligently provided us with all the data, even while traveling. So thank you, Ron.
And thank you, Vice Chair Huber Levy, for reading that report. Next up is Ms. Nadia Hahn with the District Attorney's Office. Welcome, Nadia. Thank you for being here.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So I have our filing data from September 30th through today. 49 cases total that were filed, 31 felony, 16 misdemeanor, and 2 infraction. And there were 22 cases rejected during this period.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for Nadia Hahn, the District Attorney? No? Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate that information.
Actually, may I just ask a question? Sorry, I'm just digesting the information here. So that's up quite significantly from September.
That's actually including September. That's 2 months worth.
Aha. Okay, so that makes sense. So
that's probably why.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, I understand. Oh, okay. Probation Department. Who would like to go first? Ms. Bustos? Oh, I don't see Ms. Powers here. Oh, Mr. Wade's here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Can you please turn the mic on and speak into? Thank you. The button. There you go.
Hello? Yeah. My partner Becky could not be here today, so I will be reporting for both juvenile services and institutions. I'll go ahead and start off with juvenile service for the month of October. They had 24 youth in diversion, 107 youth going through the court process, 219 on active probation, with a total of 350 cases. For the diversion cases, they had 2 on 90-day contract, 1 in the petty theft program, 2 in the victim impact awareness program, and they had 7 youth with gang orders. For race and ethnicity, the highest numbers were Hispanic, Latino with 226, followed by Black at 35 and White at 34. They have 80 females, 269 males, and 1 non-binary on their caseloads. The top cities the youth reside in are Redwood City with 66, San Mateo with 55, Daly City with 40, and Out County with 39. Moving on to institutions. As of today, we have a total of 43 in custody. The juvenile hall part has 36, 29 being male and 6 being female. And the secure track, SYTF, has a total of 8, 7 males and 1 female. The last day of October, we had 26 males on felony charges, 2 males on misdemeanor charges, 1 non-binary on felony, 1 female on felony, 1 female on misdemeanor, with a total of 31. For secure youth treatment facility, we had 7 males on felonies, 1 female on felony, with a total of 8. For the electronic monitoring program, which is EMP, we had 6 male on felonies, 0 males on misdemeanors, 1 female on felony, 1 female on misdemeanor, with a total of 8. The YSC race and ethnicity is 0 Asian, 5 Black, 29 Hispanic Latino, 1 Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, 2 white, 0 Middle Eastern, 2 other, with a total of 39. For EMP race and ethnicity, we have 1 Asian, 0 Black, 5 Hispanic Latino, 1 Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, 1 white, 0 Middle Eastern, 0 other, with a total of 8. The average daily population at the Youth Services Center is 21 male predisposition, 4 male post-disposition, 1 female predisposition, 0 female post-disposition, with a total of 26. For the SYTF program, we have 7 male post-disposition, 1 female post-disposition, with a total of 8. For EMP, we have 7 male predisposition, 4 male post-disposition, 1 female predisposition, 1 female post-disposition, with a total of 13. The average length of stay at the Youth Services Center is 23 days. For EMP, it's 47. For the monthly totals bookings, we had 15 in-county bookings, 5 out-of-county bookings, with a total of 20. For releases, we had 16 YSC releases, 3 EMP successful completions, 0 CAM successful completions. For EMP referrals, we had 7 in-county and 0 out-of-county, with a total of 7. For CAM release referrals, we had 1 in-county and 0 out-of-county, with a total of 1.
Thank you so much. Questions for Superintendent Bustos regarding her report?
I have one question. Good evening, Ms. Bustos. Can you share a little bit of what the petty theft program is?
Is this for juvenile services?
Yes.
So, unfortunately, this is not my unit, so
Okay.
unless, I don't know, you can say a little bit about it. Yeah, sorry.
We can get that for you at the next meeting, Paul, when Becky returns.
Okay, and then the second question I had was regarding the rainbow. As we're leaving the YSC, there's a rainbow of stones in the parking lot. Do we know what that is for?
Good question. I noticed that driving into work as well. I am assuming that it's probably from the individuals who work on the garden. I know there's a few people that work on the garden that might have placed it.
I know who it is. It's Ron Reyes's daughter, who earned her Eagle Scout, and she's doing a project over there.
With the garden?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, when you're leaving the YSC, that's beautiful to look at.
Thank you. I see it every day on my way in as well.
Okay. So is there any questions about the report? Any other questions about the report? Okay, so I have a question. Could you fill us in about the change in visiting policy that's happening right now?
So yes, are you talking about the behind the glass? Okay,
Yes.
so unfortunately, we have had an influx of contraband coming into our facility, specifically drugs. So I've kind of tightened it up a little bit, just in the meantime while we get our scanners up and running, which they should be up and running very shortly this week. I have talked to the miners. I have told them that this is only temporary. It's just to make sure that we kind of put a stop to any possible contraband that could be coming in through visiting.
Okay, through visiting. Okay.
Yes, so, but just so you know, it isn't, a permanent solution. We are gonna scale back.
Thank you so much for explaining that. It's just good to know when there's major policy
Mm-hmm.
changes. So if we get a call, then we know, oh yeah, okay, this is why this is happening.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate that opportunity. Any other questions?
I
about-
have one question on that. So the scanners that are going to be installed and utilized, are staff going to be using those same scanners, or are just visitors using these?
For now, it's actually not the visitors. We won't be putting the visitors. The only ones that'll be going in through the scanners will be the youth.
Just the youth?
Or the minors, non-minors, yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, I just had a quick question. On the scanner, is that the same scanner that replaces full body search? Or,
Yes.
so
yes.
it's not up and running? I thought that was up and running.
So
No?
we have the machine, we're just fine tuning the policies and procedures for it.
Oh,
Can everybody online hear? So Mr. Wade said that it's, they have the machine, but they're fine tuning the policy and procedures. Okay.
Correct.
Okay,
thank you.
okay. And then, thank you so much. And then I wanted
To the
to-
chair, I had a question.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Do you want to go ahead and address anyone's question online?
Do you have, I was going to
Yeah.
talk with the chief.
Should I ask, or go ahead?
Okay. All right. Good evening, Chief. Unfortunately, in the last 72 hours, the commission has received multiple reports of allegations of sexual contact with a certain staff member. And I wanted to give the chief an opportunity to make a statement on that, because I think we're all united against this type of behavior, and we want to assure the community that we take these matters very seriously and that they'll be investigated. So I wanted to give the chief an opportunity to address that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Good evening, everyone. I'll say this, definitely I'm aware of the allegations and some of the comments that have been made over the last 72 hours. What I can confirm is that we are in the process of conducting some investigations. Unfortunately, because we are working in a labor environment, there certainly are some things that we are not able to talk about publicly. But what I can do is give the community some assurances that, one, we do not tolerate any type of illicit behavior in any form or fashion. Since I've been chief in this department, I have a track record of holding people accountable at the same time as supporting folks and supporting the youth in our care. We are certainly not going to be in any position where we would allow anything like this to go unaddressed. We are open and will always investigate any allegations that come forward. We are actively investigating activities in our facility at this moment. Obviously, we cannot go into any details of any types of investigations at this point, but I can assure everyone that anything that's brought to our attention that we are able to investigate thoroughly, we will. And so that's where we are at this point. But we are not in any way going to allow any type of illicit behavior or activities in our facility that's going to go unchecked or uninvestigated in any form or fashion. But as I said, these are allegations at this point that we are investigating.
Thank you so much, Chief. I think that goes a long way in letting the community know that there's action being taken. This will be fully investigated, and we certainly appreciate that.
Thank you. And there's one thing I did want to add, which is
Yes.
it's a little bit off the topic, but I'll pause for a minute just in case there's any additional questions regarding that topic.
I just had a question. And are you able to share with us how the allegations came to light?
Well, there's a couple of different ways. So one, when, if we have information that's brought to us, either by a young person, it could be from a partner within the facility. It could be even from the outside, like OYCR or an ombudsman or someone could bring to our attention these things, and we take in information from a variety of different spaces. And that's how, we would initiate an investigation coming from any of those specific directions.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for the chief before he shares this next?
I'd just like to make a comment and follow up and say that we have been in close communication and contact with Mr. Wade, and he has displayed the utmost professionalism and transparency that can come from a position that he's currently in. And I just wanted to express and extend my gratitude for your utmost professionalism, sir. Thank you so much on how you're dealing with all of that. There, yeah.
I echo Commissioner Bocanegra's expressions. Thank you very much. We certainly appreciate it.
I mean, and trust me, we recognize that these are very, very difficult situations, and it's tough because, transparency is very important to us as an organization. It's very important to us that we care for those that are in our care. It's very important that we follow up on any allegations, but it's also very important to us that we provide a very fair and impartial process for all parties involved. And so we're trying to make sure that we, afford due process to everyone that's a part of this process too. But trust me, it is not lost on us the sensitivity and concern that we are sure that the community, the parents, and anyone who have an interest in the care of young people would have hearing something that would be disturbing to them. So trust me, we don't downplay this at all. We don't, in any way condone any behavior that would suggest something like this is going on. So we totally understand the concern.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Oh, go ahead, Chief.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Like I said, I'll pause for the questions.
Thank you, Chief. I think the community and the commission, we needed to hear that from you, and thank you so much.
So please share with your next item that you had.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make a quick comment. I'm sure that the commission is aware of Senate Bill, I believe it's Senate Bill 1376, I believe it is, that reduced the probation terms for supervision in our space. There is a question right now as to whether there's retroactivity in that space. I wanted to just inform the commission that we are certainly researching that on the probation end. We don't know exactly if that is going to be the case. There may be some questions out there from parents whether their kids are going to be immediately removed from probation as a result of this bill coming into law. It's really, the bill is silent as to whether it is actually retroactive or not, but we're definitely doing the research to see if that's going to be the case. We can say for sure going forward that grants of probation will no longer be more than 12 months unless there is a hearing that we can request to extend probation beyond that. Absent that hearing, probation will end after a 12-month period. So just wanted to kind of speak to that proactively, because I do know that in many jurisdictions, the retroactivity aspect of that has come into question. So I wanted to just speak to it ahead of time before the commission maybe would have asked us about it, just to say that we frankly are unsure at this point. It may actually take a little bit of case law to come down to actually set the tone for what this could be. But we are certainly keeping our ear to the ground to see exactly what direction it's heading in. And we will certainly work with our justice partners to conform our policies to be in alignment with it. But I just wanted to just make sure I spoke to that directly from my department before a question came out from here.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Are you able to give us a brief update on what's happening at Camp I saw on the Board of Supervisors agenda?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And I appreciate you asking me early because I did see it later on in the agenda. So I appreciate you kind of asking early on in our conversation. What I can share with you is that probation and myself, we've been asked to partner with public health and behavioral health on creating what's called a healing campus at Camp Kemp. The healing campus would, in essence, provide a opportunity for mental health services for young people, inpatient mental health services, outpatient services for people. It would also provide a variety of other types of care for young folks in that space, very similar to what's happening at Canyon Oaks now. Short-term therapeutic centers and therapeutic beds would also be present there. Our goal is to utilize that space in a fashion that would serve a much broader swath of the juvenile population in our county. Right now, we currently only have access to a floor at the adult space at the county hospital. And that, frankly, is just simply not an adequate space for support for young people in our county. And so it's not definitely going to just be probation youth or child welfare youth. We're thinking about any young person from any entry point that needs services and support would have access to this space. It's also very timely because there's pieces of legislation that are coming through that is actually going to require that each county provides some of these services. And since we don't currently have spaces available in San Mateo County, we would probably most likely have to partner with surrounding counties to find support for young people in this space. And so, keeping in conjunction with the way we like to do business in this county in terms of keeping our young people here, I know that my partners in public health and in behavioral health would much rather have a space here in county to support this vulnerable population. So when opportunity came forth and there's some mental health dollars for infrastructure, that's a grant that we are applying for at the state level with the board's support. We are applying for this grant process and hoping to get access to those funds. And then we would utilize those funds to redesign Camp Kemp to create this campus in its place. That is my, frankly, kind of in a nutshell response to it. The people who are much more in tune and much smarter than me in the mental health space could certainly give you a much more detailed breakdown of all the different types of populations from a therapeutic lens who will be served in this space. But that's my rough thumbnail presentation about what will be in that space.
Well, thank you, Chief. That was very informative. It really lets us know what's happening with that building. So we certainly appreciate that update. It was very thorough. So thank you very much. Anybody have
You're welcome.
any questions for the chief?
I have a quick question, just following up on that. You mentioned it would be similar to Canyon Oaks, but would it be a licensed STRTP, or it is going to operate
Yes.
differently? It will
Yeah,
be.
it will have portions of that. So the great thing about the way Kemp is currently set up is, as you know, it's set up in different sections. We would expand that and actually expand the pods where different portions of it would have different licensings to serve different populations. So you would get a variety of different people, different populations that could get served under one roof.
That sounds really
So
good.
you would have, so you could get some of that, some of those short-term therapeutic beds. You could get young people who unfortunately may need long-term mental health treatment, inpatient treatment. You could get maybe people who need respite support. You may have people who are kind of maybe having an immediate crisis, maybe in a runaway space. And then, of course, you'll have young people that are in the probation space who may need immediate services in our space. It's really meant to serve all different walks of young people in our population. It's definitely not just a probation youth space. It's definitely not just a child welfare space. It is literally meant to serve every young person, every type of young person in this county who needs support.
So would that be under 18 when you say young person?
Yes.
Okay. And would there be drug treatment involved as well, like AOD?
That's a great question. As we kind of build it out, there's a possibility for that. But I'm not sure exactly if that all can be licensed under one roof. But great question. I would imagine with behavioral health involved, they probably would add some degree of that support in our space. in that space, I should say. But I'm not sure exactly what their plans are with that.
Thank you very much.
And speaking of ALD, we are actually doing our final interviews with an ALD person to come on with behavioral health this week. I think Yvonne is actually doing the final interviews. So finally, behavioral health will have somebody in that space at our facility permanently. So we're happy that we're finally getting down to the last final of that, which is taking a long time, much longer than I'd hoped.
Thank you so much for your comprehensive report this evening. We appreciate it. So
Thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
The chair, I have a question
Oh.
for the chief.
Yes, I'm
Good-
sorry.
Good evening, chief. I took a lot of notes. That was awesome. Thank you so much. My question may be a little premature,
Yes.
when with SB 1376, with the 1 year for the probation, you did mention that there may be some instances where you may feel to request to extend. So do you happen to already know what those instances may be in order to request an extension for
You know,
probation?
I will tell you philosophically, my thoughts would be I can only anticipate wanting to extend if there's a therapeutic reason why. So, for example, if we were unable to achieve the therapeutic goals for the young person, let's say, the courts wanted to see certain type of treatment accomplished while the young person was under the court's supervision and it wasn't able to be accomplished for some reason. Maybe the young person is still struggling in certain aspects of the rehabilitative process. I could see that. It has to be something in my mind that is connected to that process. I don't see it being arbitrary just because, we want to keep them. It has to have some real reason that's going to benefit the young person. I just can't see any reason to want to keep them beyond that. Of course, I don't have any specifics because everything will be individualized, but I just think from a philosophical lens, I would think as the probation chief, I wouldn't want to support any extensions that didn't have some type of connection to benefiting the young person for keeping them.
Thank you so much. And I should have mentioned that it's Commissioner Blanco who asked the question. I have
Yes,
a
ma'am.
question.
I recognize
Okay.
your voice.
All right. Thank you. Just in case, because you can't see us right now. I do have a question, if it's okay, to the chair.
Yes.
Of Ms. Bustos and Mr. Wade. Hello. I haven't seen you in a minute. Good to have you here. So I believe, since I've been on the commission, I've mentioned regarding Oye, the Latinx Youth Conference that Cañada College hosts. And I know that prior to my arrival of the commission, I reached out to Ms. Bustos some years ago where we were thinking about when we were able to provide the plenary session via over Zoom, but we weren't able to make it happen. But my question is about the youth that are on probation. And I was wondering if, hopefully with Chief's support, if we may be able to invite the youth that are on probation to see if they're interested to attending Oye. So maybe if you can let us know at maybe next meeting or whatever, we can make it happen.
Are you talking about the non-minors that are out of custody?
Right, the ones that are not in, yes.
I don't see a problem with that. And actually, nice to know that it was you. I do
Yeah.
remember talking to somebody. I apologize. I did not realize it was you that I had been in contact with. I don't see a problem with the invitation being extended to the non-minors and minors that are out of custody.
Okay, perfect. Because I'm still on the planning committee for Oye, and it's on March 28th at Cañada College. And so I also am one of the co-leads on the outreach and marketing team. And so we do have a meeting tomorrow night. So I will let them know. And so maybe you and I can work out on how to go about getting the information out to the youth. Awesome.
Absolutely. Yes.
Great. Thank you. It's great.
And if
news.
you
Thank
want,
so much.
and if you have a flyer, you can forward that flyer to my email box and I'll make sure it gets out too.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Actually, I will follow protocol. I will send it to Chair and then the Chair can send it to you. Don't try to get me in
Great.
trouble here, Chief.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, if there are no more questions, we'll take public comment at the very end. Thank you so much for your report. I was told that Martha Cervantes would be coming tonight to give a report from Behavioral Health and Recovery Services, but I do not see them. I also know that Sarah Notch is out ill. Karen, do you have something that you'd like to report for Sarah for County Office of Education?
Yes, thank you. So Sarah is out ill, but she did touch base with Assistant Principal Arenas to find out the number of students currently at Hillcrest School, and that is there are a total of 31 students currently at school. There are 2 8th graders, 1 9th grader, 7 10th graders, 10 11th graders, and 11 12th graders for a total of 31. That's been a fairly consistent cohort of students, about that number for the past few months since school started. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so moving on now to Fresh Lifelines for Youth. We have Tatiana Castaneda and Adriana Canales joining us this evening. Welcome.
Hello. Let me see. Is my camera on?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay.
Both of you.
But as long as you guys can. So good evening. My updates for the REPS program, which is our in custody program. We currently have 10 in our program. We have all 8 SOAR, which are 7 boys and 1 girl. And then we have 2 707Bs, which are both boys. Of those, 9 are in college. 1 is finishing up high school. He's actually on track to graduate early. One of those college students is currently attending San Francisco State University online, and we have 2 who were accepted to Sonoma State University and CSU Monterey Bay. Of those 3 students, we have 1 who recently applied for his 2nd and 3rd associate's degrees. In October, for those 10 in our program, we did 114.9 hours of case management for that month. We are in process of training our credible messenger mentors. We have 4 so far. We have 1 girl and 3 boys. And once they're trained, they'll go through the clearance process and they'll start meeting with our youth. And then we have 1 SOAR youth who recently was employed by OYCR. And that is for the REPS program.
I think that's one of the best reports I've heard from Fly. Look, all these degrees, everybody's getting accepted to college and getting jobs at OYCR. That's fantastic.
Great.
Thank you so much. Anybody have any questions for Tati about what she just shared or comments to share? I think everybody
I just have
shares
a
my
comment.
enthusiasm.
I'd just like to say congratulations. That is a very great report, especially during these holidays, to hear so many of the great things that these youth are doing while they're receiving the rehabilitative services that they have coming. So good work in there.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're
Through the
certainly
chair.
grateful. Yes.
That I was able to meet you at the juvenile court one day, and it was
Yes.
nice to finally meet you in person. But OMG, this is such great information, and thank you for sharing all of the accomplishments that your organization is doing with our youth. And you guys are all rock stars because our youth cannot succeed without the adults that are providing the love and the care and the nurturing that they need, because that's what our kids need in order for them to thrive. So muchas gracias, mija. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Adriana, welcome.
Hi, good evening. I'm Adriana. I'm the case manager for the reentry program here at Fly. And in the last quarter, we did 2 things that we tried to focus on that was pretty successful. Reentry LRE. LRE stands for Law-Related Education. We are usually community-bound, high schools, but we started to meet on Wednesdays with our reentry youth alone. Very different. Our reentry youth have experienced our curriculum, where some community centers and high schools that we facilitate haven't always experienced the justice system or even probation. So it was very different conversation. And we're going to continue to keep these LRE courses going for our reentry youth, especially to gain community service hours. And then also what happened this last quarter, we had a little bit of a waiting list. We actually have 2 case managers that we are in the hiring process of. We just kind of gave them their letter, I want to say maybe a day ago. So we are onboarding 2 other case managers. So just so everyone knows, we do have a waiting list, but we are getting to it, we promise. We did put it on pause for a minute just because it was a little overwhelming, but we do have 10, no, I'm sorry, 11 on Kennedy's caseload and 12 on mine. So we are pretty hefty. Some are closing out due to juvenile probation dismissal and 1 year program involvement. So any questions? I know it's a little bit too much for the reentry program. We've been trying to focus on a lot in the last quarter.
Thank you so much. Yes, Commissioner Lee.
I was just wondering with the case management, what is maybe like the main issue that comes up for the youth that you're helping them with?
Right now, it's school attendance. So when we have our law program in high schools, community schools, and adult ed schools, they usually just come on those days, and we're like, no, you need to. we're gonna have to expand our schedule and make sure, and it kind of helps. Our youth attendance has gone up. So right now we kind of focus on school needs, and so our law program is in schools to help the attendance get a little higher, and it's been working so far.
Great, thank you so much. Any other questions?
I just had a quick
Yes.
question. Adriana, that's the Stay Fly program, correct?
No, this is the reentry program with
Okay.
SMC. We do have a Stay Fly also, and that's more for 18 and over.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Booker.
Yes, I have a question. Thank you, Adriana, for your presentation. So your reentry, do you have or are you aware of or do you collaborate? Because I understand that Fly has different chapters in the Bay Area region, and what I wanted to ask was if you are aware of other secure tracks where youth are attending college from the juvenile hall, or in our case, yeah, from a juvenile hall, and then returning back to the juvenile hall.
San Francisco sites are starting to grow. The juvenile hall there, we started our law lessons, and then we usually try to hook up our Project Rebound resources with our Fly law classes because of how close it is. But Project Rebound, I would say, is probably our most reached out source when we do talk about college and careers. Fly also has our CPN, which stands for Career Pathways Navigator, and we usually have that as a resource and mostly networking and connections. Project Rebound is great. It's just the paperwork and all the applications to kind of onboard, but our CPN helps with that.
Thank you very much.
To the chair.
Thank you.
Sorry, just one clarification, Adriana. When you say CPN, is that within Fly? You have a CPN?
It is, and I'm so sorry. It stands for Career Pathway Navigator. So it's our own role here in Fly that reaches
Okay.
out to our leadership program, Reentry Stay Fly, and she's great. She helps youth individually either apply for colleges, applications, depending on the age range and what the priority is for probation kids, which is usually school. And she'll help with school admissions. But Project Rebound is usually the typical outreach that we use for 18 and over.
And what about Project Change?
We're for the reentry program, we're more minors. So we kind of focus on high school first. And yeah, Project Change, I do know works with Stay Fly, again, 18 and up.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Blanco.
Good evening, Adriana. Thank you so much for your report. Project Rebound, that's the one that's at the CSUs?
Yeah, San
Right, okay.
Francisco State. Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
if you can just explain what Project Rebound, may have some
Oh,
members of
man.
the community that may not know what Project Rebound is.
So
Thank you.
Project Rebound, from what we've experienced and the youth that we have had go attend their orientation, it's a pretty much a chance for a lot of college-bound youth that have records to be able to be given the chance to go on certain permissions, and then after certain classes are taken, sometimes expungement can happen. So I've only experienced two youth being able, but I do know that my coworkers have experienced more. Getting into Project Rebound, being able to go on to getting, I want to say, a business degree. One wanted to be a teacher, and after about 4 years, they did their academics and were able to work with lawyers and got their track records expunged. So it's a really great program. Of course, the consistency and filling out all the applications seem to be the biggest challenge when our youth are first starting off.
Yes, go ahead.
The other questions I have two more questions. One is, does Fly have or provide Know Your Rights training to the youth and also maybe within the schools by any
Yes.
chance?
So the abbreviation for it is LRE. So if you ever are around fly people, and we're always talking in abbreviations, LRE.
Right.
So when we
Acronyms.
say
Yep.
law-related education, we are either in high schools, community schools, adult schools, and what we just started right now is our reentry program, LRE. So we have a 13 course law curriculum. We learn everything from knowing your rights, property, I'm sorry, different, oh man, I'm drawing a blank and I teach it every week. Sex and consent. Almost every week we go through a different law, different criminalistic types of behavior. We try to incorporate it with SEL. I know Tati helped me out because I'm totally drawing a blank with some of our curriculum, and it's very it's needed. A lot of our youth will commit their crime and not know why, what they did, what led to it, and so our dissection of crimes and putting it into our curriculum has worked pretty good, and it's like a revolving door. Once we get to our last lesson, we start it all over again.
Okay.
I know, Tati, did you want to include?
I
But
just
go ahead,
want
Tati.
to add, this is also done on every unit in the juvenile hall, so they get that same education as well.
But what about in our schools? So let's say, Fly is partnering with the commission and with the co-sponsorship of the College of San Mateo, and Fly will be providing a workshop and speaking on Peer Point. But what I also like for us to share with the educators that will be attending the conference in January is to just let them know, have them become aware that there is this know your rights, where if they want to have Fly come in and provide that level of training to our youth. So that's kind of where my question was coming from. So that's something that you all can provide
So
in the
that
schools.
program is in a lot of schools already. It's a different program, so different facilitators, different program managers. So I don't exactly know which schools they're in, but I believe they have about 10 sites.
Okay.
So if there's
All
a
right.
school that we're not in doing that, that is something that we can look into.
Okay. And the other question
Jennifer,
is,
can I just
oh,
pop in?
yes, sorry.
One of our commissioners is actually a volunteer with that program. So
I'm not currently, well, currently I'm not volunteering with Fly, but I was in Santa Clara County, so I was doing the law education program at two different facilities. So yeah, so I think that when Fly came to visit us a few months ago, we brought that same topic up about like their expansion within schools, and I think it really just depends on the school need. And the youth that are at the different schools that are either at risk or actually need that education, because I think that is also a part of maybe youth being at risk or something to that effect. But yeah, so I know that we did discuss it, and even when we talked about like maybe going into like younger schools, we brought that up at when Fly was here a few months ago, and I know that was something that was in the works, or at least there were conversations at that moment about it.
Okay, thank you, Whitney. So I didn't have mics. I'm looking at Tati up at the screen. The last thing I wanted to mention is see if you all are familiar with Cal Kids. It's a college scholarship program that came out of the state's treasury office. So just go on calkids.org, and it's pretty easy to have the youth and or parents sign up, and they have until the age of, well, it's still 26, but they want to make sure that they get it and use it before, let's say, 25 and a half. And so all the let's say if they're still in school, the only thing they're going to need is to qualify is to see if they are within the certain criterias. And they're going to need access to their 10-digit student statewide identifier 10-digit number. So they either will qualify for 500, 1,000, or 1,500. So depending on what the need is. So I just wanted to throw that out there for you since you guys are all doing that work with the youth that are going to school. And it's free money, and it also gains interest.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on that. I've actually applied for several of our youth who've actually received the money. It gets deposited right into their account to help pay for school. Then these are youth through Project Change. So I'm happy to work with you on that too, because wherever we can get them additional funding to help them, I think it's really valuable. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay, if there's no other questions for Fly, John Fong from HSA is not with us this evening. That would then bring us to public comment.
Members of the public, if you would like to comment on any updates from A to G of item 3, please use the raise hand feature on Zoom or bring a speaker slip to the clerk during this time. You'll be given 2 minutes to speak. Can I have you fill out a speaker slip, please? Thank you.
That makes sense. Okay. Okay.
So I wanted to talk about the Prison Rape Elimination Act. I was on the Sexual Abuse Prevention Committee when I was on the commission, and it came to my attention that the Prison Rape Elimination Act is the gold standard by which facilities can prevent or respond to rape in facilities where there's detention. I brought my concerns to County Council in May of 2024, and the response was that it only applied to federal institutions. This is despite the fact that the legislation, which is a federal legislation, says that it applies to all federal, state, and local facilities and includes juvenile facilities and is adhered to by our very own McGuire facility. So why are our adults in our county more protected than the children in our county? What I would like is for the commission, or to, if John Keene is on the phone call right now, to directly appeal to him, or through the commission to appeal to him, to get those protections in place. The children would be safer. I really believe that. And anytime you have a group of children in an institution with adults, you have the potential for abuse. And I have been asked in the last few years, do you think children are really being abused? Why are you so concerned, Melissa? And I have said to you, Johanna, I don't know that children are being abused, but it's highly likely. And here we are.
Becca?
Yeah, thank you. Becca Keeler from In Our Care, and sort of follow up on what Melissa just said. In the work I do in the community, one of the things I get asked a lot is why do we not have a separate adult and juvenile probation department? Why is that not separated? And I don't have an answer to that, except that's not the way it works here in San Mateo County. But I wonder, now that we're hearing this, it's very scary news. I wonder if maybe this isn't a place and a time to address this and look at this. Should we be separating out and have people that are only trained within the juvenile system and only working separated out from the adult probation department?
Thank you, Becca.
No public comments. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, now we are moving right into the meat of the agenda here, which is our annual inspection report presentations and updates. And we'll begin with the Canyon Oaks Youth Center and the educational evaluation report that will be presented by Vice Chair Huber Levy and her team. Thank you so much for your work on this. Greatly appreciated. Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Okay, we're just uploading it here. There we go. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to our new commissioner for stepping in there with technical support. Okay. And I think I do, is it on slideshow or is it, oh, wait a second. How do I get rid of this? Can I do, yeah. Yes. All righty, we're in business. Oops. What did I just do? Is it? Okay. Okay. All right. Yes. So actually, this was not a team effort. This was an individual effort. The team was not available that day. So luckily, I have visited Canyon Oaks over the past few years. And so I felt capable of meeting with the people I needed to meet with and do a decent job on this. So I did attend for half a day at Canyon Oaks School on September 30th, and I met with Principal Siam, who's our new principal of Court and Community Schools, Dr. Jimenez, who has been, was last year acting principal and continues to support the leadership team through starting anew this year because we have a new principal in Court and Community Schools. We also have a new assistant principal, so new leadership. I also met with Dr. Lauren Sneed, who has been working and supporting Court and Community Schools as the academic counselor for quite a few years, and the teacher and Mr. Squire. I evaluated the educational programs from a community perspective, not as an expert on the ed code. I did not interview any students because all of the students currently at Canyon Oaks School are district placements with no court or probation placements. Canyon Oaks School is an STRTP, a short-term residential treatment program that serves youth live there. It's residential, and they educate youth while in residence. These youth are facing serious emotional and behavioral challenges and receive a lot of therapy while they're there. Currently, there's only 5 students, or at least the day I visited, there was 5 students. The school has a maximum capacity of 12, and the students are typically very diverse, highly differentiated needs and levels of ability when they enter. So what's new from last year? We have a new teacher. The long-term teacher has moved to another area of the County Office of Education, but he gave an excellent referral for who he thought would be a wonderful replacement, and that was teacher Misty Seago, who started her career with the County Office of Education as a teacher at Gateway. She also taught as an assistant teacher, as one of the full-time teachers at Canyon Oaks, I think in 2022. So she has experience with the cohort, and when I met with her, I was so impressed because she's highly energetic, very experienced, really committed to student success, and really understands the population. So a wonderful choice, and it really could, I don't think it could have gone more smoothly in terms of a transition to hand over this school. The experienced paraeducator, Jose Jacomen, continues, and he works extremely closely, had worked with the previous teacher, Mr. Ramit, continues as a co-educator in the classroom. So that is good. That's real stability and continuing coverage. There's also new this year, the special education resource specialist who also works at Hillcrest School, Mark Squire, is co-teaching daily 5 days a week for the basically 8:30 to. He also, as the resource specialist, leads the IEP meetings. One of the comments we had for a couple of years was that the curricula for science and social studies was outdated. There is now new curricula in place for both. That's also at Hillcrest School. But so there, the students are now able to use the STEM scopes and I think it's the teacher curriculum initiative is TCI for the social studies curricula. One interesting thing that I came across is that MAP, the measure of academic progress, is no longer in use. They are looking to replace it with something more practical and effective. But currently, the metrics embedded in the course curricula are combined with teacher observation, student performance in the classroom, and that is how they're measuring student performance. So clearly, there's a need for a replacement of academic progress metrics, which is, I was told, being created for use across the court and community schools. The other point that our new leadership of the court and community schools made is that the current staffing model is intentionally flexible. If and when there are more than 10 students, remember the facility is a maximum of 12, they will then add a paraeducator. So there's enough paraeducators with court and community schools that they will bring that in. So currently the student cohort is 1 8th grader, 3 9th graders, and 1 10th grader. And as always, the students are served in a therapeutically appropriate manner, trauma-informed model, and always strong collaboration between the teaching staff and the very well-resourced therapeutic staff. You have to cast your mind back to the summer when you had the presentation on the Canyon Oaks actual facility. And I don't remember the actual ratio, but it's a very high ratio of student to therapeutic staff, like extremely high, like 12 to 1. The focus on the school is what individual students need, and that is a broad range. The other guidance is the awareness of what those students need to be successful when they transition out of the program. Some students come in performing below grade level, and the focus there is on acquiring basic skills and proficiency. Some students come in very academically strong, and they're at the school because they're having other issues in their homeschool environment where the need for therapy and a place to heal and be away from the environment that caused them stress is provided at COYC. So the focus there is on preserving the skills that they entered with, but also giving the students space to fully benefit from the therapeutic support, which is why they're there. Students are never forced to attend school. There's a real sensitivity to the therapeutic needs, and there could be social dynamics on any particular day. I had been told that, sometimes after a weekend back home with family, coming back to school on the Monday can be stressful. There can be a need for some sensitivity to that type of situation. And the teachers and staff are always talking and sharing information, so that is front and center. The academic counselor, Dr. Sneed, who is such a delight, she cares deeply about the students. She also knows this cohort quite well because she knows most of these 5 students from the prior year. So she made the point that she's pushing in a little bit more with this group for social emotional support because she knows them so well. If any new student comes, she checks in at the 1-month mark to help orient them for the path ahead. So they have a really good understanding of what their academic goals should be, what they look forward to. She also celebrates their successes and applies a strength-based focus, which I love. So she focuses on the assets that they have and working on their strengths. There's an honor roll celebration when a student hits a 3.0 or more GPA achievement. They have mini celebrations. She brings in Jamba Juice, the whole staff and other students celebrate. So it's a really positive environment. She did say that this cohort is kind of junior. They're, 1 middle schooler and then, freshman and 1, I think, 10th grader. So the focus isn't so much on credit recovery right now. That's just not a big interest for them. So she focuses on encouraging them to think about all options. encouraging them to understand about their college options and what that might look like, and also vocational opportunities. So she really wants them to understand the whole breadth of what might be before them, and they can start thinking about that. There's also an occupational therapist, Tina Jensen, who's been on staff for many years, and she apparently provides, I heard this through the teacher, I didn't talk to Ms. Jensen this time, but she's continuing to provide strong support for any students interested in applying for jobs, including resume writing, interview prep. And as I said, credit recovery isn't a huge concern for this cohort, but there is another interesting thing that's kind of new this year is that there's a team process being created by the senior leadership again. And they would like this process to be cohesive across all the court and community schools. The team is Dr. Sneed, the academic counselor, the principal, and Courtney Pereira, who's the teacher on special assignment credit recovery specialist, who typically comes in every Friday to work with students on credit recovery. Yeah, and I mentioned that it's not a huge thing. Another point that the teacher raised and Principal CM also raised is that they're really trying to help students out with academic credits for elective coursework. And in some cases, some of the students are really passionate about art and equine therapy, and they're looking for ways, obviously it depends on how long the student is there and participating, but if there's enough hours, they will help them get credits, academic credits for the hours that they have spent in that elective coursework. Commendations, again, the strong collaboration with the small teaching staff, but the very generous therapeutic staff, but they really work together very well on a daily basis. Students are supported in their learning with sensitivity and caring in a highly individualized curriculum, thoughtful, flexible, trauma-informed. They benefit from strong academics, counseling, and the celebrations of successes. I really was impressed with a very strong commitment by the San Mateo County Office of Education in spending as much time as I needed to understand the plans and the programs. The new staff is really committed to being very transparent about their plans, but also their enthusiasm and commitment to student learning really shone through. And they're aware of the need for the students to attain or maintain proficiency and aware of the exposure to homeschools, to further education, vocation, or employment opportunities. Recommendations are to continue the differentiated instruction, to develop and implement the appropriate standardized academic assessment metrics. And we don't know what those are. So right now, the senior leadership is very much focused, and you will hear the Hillcrest Educational Program evaluation next month, but there was a real focus on getting the staffing in place there because 2 of the full-time teachers resigned right before school started. So they are a little bit behind in some of their housekeeping efforts in terms of putting in place these metrics. And the goal is to establish the baseline benchmark data by end of Q1 26. So yeah, that's important. The other recommendation is to continue to focus on including the students in career and technical education programming and college information programs with other court and community school students. One point was they were planning to facilitate for students who are interested the dual enrollment course with Project Change, which is Keys to Success. So that's the recommendation. And overall, no deficiencies noted. Any questions?
Fantastic. I just want to say thank you. You took that on yourself, and I really appreciate that.
You're very
was
welcome.
A lot of work. Thank you. Questions for Vice Chair Huber Levy on her report? Yes.
So I did one of the original inspections of Canyon Oaks facility, obviously not the educational programming. And I remembered that obviously because it's an STRP, there's relatively short stays for the youth that are there. So I was wondering typically how long, how are they able to accommodate curriculums when youth are predominantly there for very short amounts of time?
That's an excellent question. And the truth is they're not there for that short of a time. A lot of them are there for a year or just over a year. The consensus from the teaching staff, at least, is that there's a declining benefit for students after about a year and a half, that a lot of the students are there for about a year, but it's really one of these continuum of care issues, which is it's meant to be short term, but these students who are coming with, very kind of critical needs need more than a couple of months. So that's why it does, that's kind of why it does work.
Yeah, I during my inspection, I saw I spoke to Victoria Valencia, who's amazing, and she also reiterated that kids that are there oftentimes will be there for longer to make sure that their emotional and social needs are met before reintegration, and I also noticed the same things of the differentiation and needs. Every student there was at a different level, whether it be academically in terms of, their ability to communicate and things like that. So I'm really impressed in their ability to cater to such a diverse range of needs that I saw.
Yeah, it is quite impressive that our county provides this resource for families and students.
Yes. Commissioner Patton, forgive my lack of knowledge, but how is it that students come to be placed at this school?
There's a multidisciplinary team. They could be placed through probation or the court, but they tend not to. And I don't know if you were on the commission when Chief Keene actually spoke to this point. I think it was during the summer that there's a recognition that this type of facility benefits a certain type of youth. And so there has been more of a movement away from probation or the court placing youth there. And there's obviously, if a youth has any type of violence in their background, this would not be a safe place to put them. But so it's all the kids who have been there for the years that I have been involved in these evaluations or inspections have been placed by the district. So they all have IEPs, and that guides their progress there. So they come in as part of their IEP process.
It's a residential placement as part of their IEP that's paid by the school district.
Thank you.
It's a great question. Thank you. Yes. Commissioner Chen.
Wait, sorry, just one question. So it's kind of a clarifying question. When students are in this program for about a year, they're doing all of their schooling at like Camp Kenyon, right? They're not going to other schools to get like additional education.
They're resident at Canyon Oaks School, and so they sleep there. They have all their meals there. It's not a secure facility, so they can go home. They can, they shouldn't just walk out the door without permission, but they can definitely leave to do things. Historically, some of these youth have had jobs. They visit, the equine therapy is outside of the facility. So yeah, they do all of their schooling there though. And, as I said, like having sat in the classroom too, it's very interesting because it is, each classroom there's 2 classrooms, each holds 6 students. So it's small. And it's like each of the 6 students is doing their own thing. They may even be in the same, like they might be doing English, but they're all participating in a slightly different way. And some are not communicating at all. Some are communicating, and the teacher and the paraeducator are basically giving them individual support. Yeah, it's quite interesting.
And then I was wondering also, like, how, like, when students end up leaving, like Kenyon Oaks and return back to, I'm assuming, like public schools or like more standardized education, do we know generally how successful they've been in the past? Like, are they able to successfully go back to like the school system?
Well, they do get a lot of support. Some do graduate from the school, but they still have an IEP, so they're tracked by it's a very, I would say, supported process. I don't have any details as to whether they're successful or who, what the return rate is. I know there have been students who've come back from when we were allowed to speak to the students. That was one of the comments, that this was, someone's second time back. So it may happen. But again, it's not a punishment. It's a therapeutic environment, and most of the students are like the teachers. They would rather be living at home, but they appreciate the opportunity to be in a space where they are doing better because they have less stress on them and less distraction, was the way it was explained to me.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm
You're
really
welcome.
glad to hear that. Sounds like a great.
Any other questions, comments? I just wanted to note before we take a motion to approve the report, I just wanted to note that I think recommendation number 1 is really relevant, because a lot of times we focus on meeting the needs of specific youth, and we forget that oftentimes we have brilliant youth there and we're not, meeting them where they are. So I appreciate that.
We did, we talked about that too, because I think that is really important. But then the teacher also stressed to me the fact that these higher achieving students need a safe place to heal. And so there is that kind of dual balance that they might not, academics will continue to be important, and it's more like preservation, so they're not falling behind, but it's not necessarily like they're not there to be super challenged. They're there to heal for the other issues that they're dealing with, so that then they can return back to their home environment.
Makes sense. Thank
Yeah,
you. And then also, of course, with the CTE and the project change, whenever we can push project change, because it's a whole track that's often not spoken about. So thank you.
Yep, and that's so true, right? If you don't see it, you can't imagine yourself in it. So I loved Dr. Sneed's, kind of her mission to expose kids to as much as possible, so that they can, she said some kids are like, no, I know I'm not going to college. I'm not going to college. I'm like, yeah, well, just come along, take a look, just look at this. You don't have to, but, and just keeping an open mind, and you might see someone that looks like you there, and that might change your mind. So I thought that was really great.
Okay, so could I get a motion to approve the Canyon Oaks Youth Center Educational Evaluation Inspection Report? All right, so Commissioner Bocanegra, and do we need a second for that?
Second.
Okay, second, Commissioner Lee. All those in favor of approving the 2025 Educational Program Evaluation for Canyon Oaks Youth Center, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Anyone wishing to abstain? All right, the report is approved. Thank you so much. Well done.
Thank you, everyone.
That was a really great report. Yeah.
Okay, so next up is the San Mateo County Jail, the McGuire Correctional Facility report. So Bo's going to help me with this, because I'm not as advanced as Karen is with the technology. So this was the first year since SYTF has been. Oh, you need to stop sharing. Okay, thank you. So this was the first year since SYTF, the passage of SB 823. All of this came about that we had an SYTF youth housed at the McGuire facility, the adult county jail. So this was all brand new to us. So we needed to create a template. We needed to coordinate. We had to educate. There was a lot that went into this. There we go. Okay. So just a little bit of background for the public and for our new commissioners. So Secure Track Youth Treatment Facilities came about through SB 823 when we closed the California youth prisons, which were also known as Department of Juvenile Justice, DJJ, and for us, old school, CYA. So those closed on June 30th in 2023. And now the responsibility for treating our most serious offenders falls back on each individual county. And Welfare and Institutions Code 875 outlines how youth need to be rehabilitated or transformed, receive programming and services that are individualized specifically for their own unique issues to address those. Next slide, please. So in going through the county jail, I went to the Maple Street facility and went through the kitchen. I then went through the housing unit, the visiting units. I think that was basically what it consisted of. And I also received records. I received incident reports. I received grievances. I received information on programming. I want to know all the programming that this individual had received in this time period. So what I learned through that documentation and my visit and a youth interview with the youth is that their IRP programming, they went there in November of 2024, and their IRP programming stopped entirely. So that was stopped. And the incident reports that I reviewed showed an increasing behavioral issues and criminal thinking patterns, which were disturbing. Jail conditions were reinforcing antisocial behavior rather than reducing it. Mental health services were extremely limited. And of course, the Youth Bill of Rights protections are not available in adult facilities. Next slide, please. So in the youth interview, what they shared with me is that they experience frequent lockdowns. Sometimes they're punitive. Sometimes they're just based upon staffing. They could be based upon conditions in the jail. But there are frequent lockdowns. And what a lockdown is when you stay in your cell for 23 hours a day and you're let out 1 hour a day. They reported that they had not had any recent contact with their probation officer, that they had been unable to visit with their child, parents, and family because elevators are routinely broken, and so visiting is canceled. And with the increasing behavior, they'd lose their phone privileges and their tablet privileges, so there's really blocked out. They explained that the mental health treatment consists of a mental health professional coming to your cell door and talking to you through the door for 5 or 10 minutes. And the youth expressed concern that they were not receiving any of their IRP programming. And it was really sad. Their main concern, I said, what do you want me to know? And what they shared was, I'm afraid I'm going to be homeless when I'm released here. I was in college. Now my college has stopped. I've received no programming, and that's true. That was verifiable, not 1 hour of programming. And they're fearful that they won't have the resources to successfully re-enter the community. And that's concerning to all of us because that directly impacts public safety. Next slide. So we went over some of the common things that are in an individual rehabilitation plan for the public and for those who are still learning are post-secondary education, mental health support, substance abuse treatment if warranted, family reunification, and any other individualized programming that the court deems necessary to meet the youth needs. And there's also quarterly MDT meetings, IRP multidisciplinary team meetings that meet to go over the youth progress, make sure services are in place. And as you can see, none of those had taken place during this inspection cycle. Next slide, please. So the sanctions that this youth received. So the youth had spent 10 days in solitary confinement, which means that they are in the cell in full isolation without any privileges or any materials. As a punitive measure, they had 5 days of lockdown. That was just punitive. That doesn't count for conditions in the jail or staffing. That's just for sanctions for behavior. And revocations were loss of telephone for 3 days, loss of tablet for 7 days, loss of commissary for 14 days. What I'd like to point out here is that the telephone and the tablet are used to communicate with family. So when you lose those and you don't have a way to visit because the elevators are broken, they've been broken for the majority of the year. It really isolates them even further, right? And so I also want to point out that when they're in the SYTF, there's no charges for fees. There's no charges for tablets. Everything's covered. So, but that's not the case at the county jail. They have to have money to make these calls. They have to have money on the tablets in order to send messages to family and loved ones. So there's access issues. There's access issues to being able to communicate and see your family and stay connected. Next slide, please. So the housing unit, I was actually very surprised. I went on the housing unit, I was expecting, I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't think it was going to be good. But it was really clean. It was organized. You can see in the back, that's actually the housing unit. I thought it was important that if you can see it, it's kind of blurred out to see the words. But it was clean. It had no smells. It wasn't like they suddenly cleaned and, there was no like weird odors or anything. It was well maintained. It was well staffed. There's an indoor recreation area that you kind of see there. And then there's one outside, very similar to what we have at up at the juvenile hall, where it's like attached to the unit there. There was a multi-purpose room for individuals who are representing themselves in court. They can do their legal research in that room, or they can meet with professionals if they have the luxury of receiving services. Meals are eaten on the housing unit, similar to juvenile hall, where there's ovens and refrigerators and the same thing, even though it's, they're eating the same food the next day as well at the jail. They just don't have the same level of service that our kids have at the hall with the food. They also, of course, have access to showers. Next slide, please. So the recommendations, what this is here on the right, that picture, that was a picture that was taken in a report from Disability Rights, I think it's Disability Rights Advocates. This was in their report. That's where I got that picture. That's the recreation yard for the solitary confinement unit. So that's a real photo of where they recreate on solitary confinement. It's like a narrow space where I guess you can walk back and forth. Yeah. So it's like a narrow hallway, a very narrow space to recreate. But I thought it was important for you to see what that looks like. So the recommendations would be to restore all IRP programming and services. I mean, that's not only to the youth benefit, but that's to our benefit. And to discontinue any sanctions that would be prohibited in an SYTF. So if you can't go to solitary confinement in SYTF, then we're asking that they not go to solitary confinement in the county jail, because they're still have a joint jurisdiction, right? They're there. Maybe something has happened as an adult, so they have dual jurisdiction. They have an adult case and they have a juvenile case. And so as long as the court is involved and they are committed to the secure track, this is the things that we should be looking at. Implement corrective interventions to reduce the escalation of criminal thinking and behavior. Ensure visitation and telephone access. Eliminate communication fees. At a minimum, they have no way of getting money at all. Ensure that the probation officer is at least checking in. How is this youth doing? Is this behavior escalating? What are we going to do about it? Improve the transfer notification process. So when a youth is brought over there, that their families are notified that they've been brought over there, and then to update the probation institution's website to contain the McGuire jail facility information in the event that a youth is brought over there. I think we've had two. One fell outside of this inspection period, so we'll be back next year. So I think it's important for parents to be able to go to a spot and say, okay, my child's been moved. Where do I go? Who do I call? What's happening? Because it's very scary for a parent to think, oh my gosh, now my child's in the county jail. So I think the more we could do to provide information provides, some level of comfort to parents that at least they can access the information that they need. Next slide, please. And then I'd just like to acknowledge Sergeant Christopher Serrano, Captain Bill Fogarty, and Captain Del Pardo. I came in to do this inspection 9 days after Christina Corpus was removed. You can imagine what was going on over there. And yet they were completely open. They were totally transparent. Welcome in, whatever you need, very professional. And I just can't thank them enough. And being that this was our first time, they were just spot on. So that is a conclusion of my presentation, and I'll be happy to take any questions. Thank you, Commissioner Lee.
So the youth that are locked up in the San Mateo County Jail, I've never heard of this place, McGuire.
It's right around the corner.
Oh wow. Okay. So I guess what I'm asking is, we have jurisdiction over all of them, or like?
No.
Yes, I'm
So-
gonna get clarification.
Okay, I apologize. So what initiated this inspection was we had a youth who was committed to Secure Track SYTF, who then became involved in the adult system and was transferred down. But the dual jurisdiction is what triggered the inspection.
So this is something to pay attention to, that if they are already involved in the justice system as a youth, as a minor, and they're still under probation or whatever, in the system, then they become an adult and they do something and they still have both cases, we're still involved. That's what it's.
This really only applies to SYTF, because otherwise, if you commit a crime in the community and you're going to be charged as an adult if you're 18 or over. So this strictly applies to youth, SYTF youth, who can be up to age 25 in our juvenile hall. It's for that very specific population, and it's very rare that this occurs. But again, we had this situation happen in this inspection cycle. So we will be doing this again next year for that particular youth. So I apologize for not clarifying how we came to this space. Yes, Commissioner Blanco.
Can we go one slide back, please? So I'm usually all about the how, not so much the what, but this is the what. So number 3, implement corrective interventions to reduce the escalation of criminal thinking and behavior. So how are we going to do that? And as far as the recommendations, like what's the next steps?
So this recommendation is really for probation department and for the sheriff's department, hopefully to collaborate on what can we do. Clearly not having programming is not working. So the recommendation would be for them to collaborate and see how can we bring programming in there that would meet the youth's therapeutic needs and at the same time protect the community.
So it sounds like to me that the key would be to enforce, like you said, reinstituting that IRP process.
Because the IRP is really designed to meet these needs, So yeah, that would be a major head start. Commissioner Bocanegra.
Yes. So something that I didn't see here, and I'm wondering if we can add to the recommendations, or if you had a discussion with our youth there regarding the electronic mail process that they have there. And so I remember when I was incarcerated in juvenile hall, as well as under the sheriff's, as I got tried as an adult and transferred. What it meant for me to be able to smell my mother's perfume on her letters, to be able to smell my daughter, her crayons when she would color pictures for me, to be able to put those items on my wall next to my bed or by my mirror where I would wash up at. It really helped me deal with the solitary confinement conditions that I was under while I was at county jail as a juvenile. And so I'm wondering if that came up in your conversation.
It's in the report. It's in the
It's in the
report. I
report.
just did a highlight of the recommendations for the slide, but it's in the report about physical mail and the need for having physical mail. Because just for the audience, right now, letters are sent out of state. The company scans them into a system. They show up on the tablets. And if you have access to a tablet, then you can like go back and see the picture that your child might have made, or see the Father's Day card or Mother's Day card. And so what Commissioner Bocanegra is talking about is you lose that whole human, that really, with the physical mail. So that is a recommendation. I failed to include it here, but it is very important. That's another level of communication that's extremely important.
And another thing I wanted to say was that we are exposing our youth to a more entrenched criminal level of thinking. And I say that because I just conducted an interview of someone who just left the McGuire jail, was in all of the programs in the McGuire jail to Maple Street to the sheriff's kitchen program. And what I learned and what I'm aware of regarding the mail policy is that this is intended to prevent contraband from entering the facility. And as I have mentioned, my experience have always been where staff has always brought the contraband to me personally when I was growing up in these cages. And so what I learned recently, and there is an investigation, people investigating, there's things happening right now. And I was asked to provide people who had recently left this facility to discuss some of the things that are happening here. And I just wanted to make it clear for the public that this mail policy, I believe which I believe is unconstitutional and inhumane, does not prevent the flow of contraband. From what I learned of this interview that I just conducted, that any drug was accessible throughout his stay in every part of this drug, including the kitchen program. So we're speaking, I asked, what kind of drugs? Fentanyl is the most prominent drug in the McGuire jail and in the Maple Street jail right now. It's accessible. Methamphetamines, cannabis, and Xanax pills. And when I asked him, well, the meth, how are they doing the meth? Or he says that they even have pipes in there that they're using to smoke. And so we are placing our juveniles that we hope are going to receive the rehabilitative treatment they need before they reenter society, exposing them to those conditions and to this picture that I'm seeing here that looks very like Pelican Bay Shoe Security Housing Unit. I do not believe that that is in the best interest of any child to be exposed to that. And I think that we lose every time when we place a child into those conditions and expect them not to return. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Commissioner Bocanegra, for sharing your experience.
I just have a question. Is there any possibility of having, or maybe I'm still confused. So this is an SYTF youth.
Yes.
Is there any possibility of having him transferred back to the SYTF unit? Like, why is that not something?
I didn't get into that aspect of it because it's a legal aspect that I understand is currently in the court. So I didn't address that. When there's an outcome from the courts, then we'll talk about it. But I didn't have enough information and things were moving pieces. But yeah, so SYTF youth, they have the opportunity to do least restrictive program. There's lots of options. Right now, this seems to be a situation that's completely on hold.
So was this youth in the SYTF at Hillcrest and then transferred, right?
Yes.
But we don't have any details about why?
I don't think that's something, no.
It's not
Yeah.
for public.
Yeah.
It's just that happened quite quickly and
Yes.
without transparency. And now this youth, do we know the age?
The youth is near the top end of the range of kids that we serve in the facility. There's only one, so I have to be very careful. I can't.
Okay.
I can't be given that.
I got it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for being respectful of confidence.
Okay.
Yeah, I get it.
And I also wanted to just really quickly just put on the record that I was made aware that there was a possible or a discussion or an idea where we were going to move inmates from the county jail that were considered youth offenders to our YSC, our juvenile hall, where we already have systemic problems that were discussed just today. And so I think that we should just take a really good look at what they want to bring to our juvenile. That was actually a discussion. And I don't know who was at the table during that discussion, but that would have been disastrous to expose that to the youth that we are trying so hard to rehabilitate right now.
Thank you so much. Any other? Yes.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I was just a bit surprised that the youth are being placed under repeated lockdown conditions, so 23 hours in your cell. I find that to be almost indistinguishable from solitary confinement conditions. And I was just wondering, is there any justification for that? Like, for example, maybe a lack of staffing, and are there plans to change that in the future, or to amend like the feelings of isolation that would come with being placed in conditions like that?
So the policy at the jail is much different than over at the SYTF, even the laws are much different for adults and youth. And so an SYTF commitment as a juvenile under the jurisdiction of the juvenile court is much different than the majority of the other 680 some odd folks at the McGuire jail. So they are operating under the policies and conditions that operates an adult facility, and that is where we have the problem. Now, we all probably have opinions on what those adult conditions could be, but it's a real contrast when you see what's available at the SYTF and what's happening here. You couldn't put a child in solitary confinement, a young person, I should say, for 10 days at the SYTF. That just could not happen. Just as though like taking their visits away. You couldn't do that either. You couldn't, the whole thing with charging for phone calls. I mean, there's a lot of protections that are inherent in the juvenile system that do not exist in the adult system.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
In this McGuire County Jail, are SYTF youth, are they distinguishable from the other adults, or like to other inmates' knowledge, are they all treated the same in terms of age level?
Well, there's just one, and they and they're just classified just like normal, just like the adults. Just there's really no distinction. There's no different uniform. There's no different unit. There's no protective custody. There's nothing. They're just mainstream. You're an adult in this facility, and that's how they're operating. And through really, in the sheriff's department is really just doing what they know to do. This is a brand new situation, right? This just all just happened. This is our first inspection. We're highlighting what's happening. And we're hoping that this won't become a practice, because we work very hard to ensure not only that the youth can be transformed and healed and rehabilitated, but also to keep our community safe. And I've got so many red flags and flashing things going off when I saw all this information. So we can't expect someone to go into this environment with no programming and come out and be okay.
I was just wondering, do we know of any other counties in the state that have had to deal with a situation like this?
Yeah, so actually, I facilitate the statewide meeting for juvenile justice commissioners throughout the state, and Santa Cruz has 2. So Santa Cruz and I worked with OICR to work on templates, to see how we were going to do this, to get guidance, to go ahead and do these inspections.
Okay, that's reassuring to hear.
So, okay.
To the chair.
Yes.
Anyone else raise their hand? I didn't see. So for me, I think learning all this, and I'm curious to know what the next steps are. What should probation be working together with the sheriff's office on implementation of all the recommendations? And then if possible, I'm wondering if we may be able to receive an update on the next steps based on the recommendations.
So I think at this point, we put the recommendations forward. I think there's some legal issues that are being worked out right now. And so once those are resolved, I think we'll have a better understanding. Next year, we'll be back in this situation in a different circumstance. But I think that right now, the issue is awareness. It's bringing it to probation's attention, because I can't imagine that they knew that this youth had no programming in a whole year. So really, it's about bringing awareness and then working towards policy change. We're just up, against a brand new system with a lot of legal technicalities that we're working through. So these are our formal recommendations, and there's more in the report. And I also I failed to mention that I also went through the correctional health unit. They have a really incredible medical facility there too.
I have another maybe recommendation. Is it possible that we could contact the ICAC, the Independent Civilian Oversight Commission, to inform them that we have a youth that is supposed to be receiving rehabilitation under the Youth Bill of Rights that is existing, because he's not receiving programming or rehabilitation, that he is existing and surviving in deplorable conditions right here across the street from us.
I'd be happy to send that.
I think we
report
need
over
to contact him.
Kalima.
Yes.
I'd be happy to send that report to her. Okay. All right. So I'm looking at the time at 7:05. And if there are no other questions, I'd be looking for a motion to approve this report. Okay. Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. So Vice Chair Huber Levy, Commissioner Bocanegra, all those in favor of approving the 2024-2025 SYTF McGuire Correctional Facility Inspection Report, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those who wish to abstain? The report passes unanimously. Thank you so much. We're going to go quick now because I see it's 7:06. Next, we need to take public comment. Oh, I see one more thing. We did receive, I'm trying to go quick here. We did receive our law enforcement holding facility list from OICR. This is the first year that they've taken this over from BSCC, and we actually had quite a few. This list just came out. So we may be going into the next year, and going forward, they have told us that they don't anticipate that we'll have this big of a delay, but this was their first time taking it over. So we will still need to conduct inspections of Belmont PD, Burlingame PD, Colma PD, Menlo Park, Pacifica, San Bruno, and South City. So those are still on the table. Anyone would like to join me, let me know, and we'll get those worked out.
Over
All right,
here.
send me an email. I got the whole room on this side. So that's great. Okay. So that would then wrap it up on inspection reports.
Can I just
and-
make one comment?
Yes.
I would just make a pitch for anyone who's interested in learning more outside of these meetings, commissioners, to attend the statewide JJC meetings that Chair Rasmussen has convened that take place on the second Monday of every month. And there's a lot of discussion and great information. And I know that it's from 12 to 1, always at the same time. So if anyone can attend, commissioners can Zoom in and learn a lot. So, great questions were asked, and Darius from OICR was there and talked about the specific obligations of JJCs to inspect any facility that holds youth for any amount of time.
Yeah.
So it's not just the facilities where youth are spending 24 hours, but it's a broader requirement under WIC, right? Under the
Yes.
Welfare and Institutions Code, which was a learning for me too. So, a pitch for that forum, because it's very valuable.
Thank you. I appreciate that pitch. Okay, public comment on any of our inspection reports.
If you, okay, Dar. Oh, you may, or you can just talk.
Just if you could just state your name and position for the record.
Sure.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. Daria Larizade, National Center for Youth Law, and thank you for those reports. It just struck me as we were looking specifically at the McGuire facility report that everyone was understandably horrified. I did want to point out we have 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds who might have been in the youth system, got out, went back to McGuire at some point. So as understandable as it is to be horrified about this one youth who is also concurrently in the SYTF, we should be horrified, just period, that there are 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, transition age youth living in these conditions, not getting programming, not having access to family. So just wanted to make note of that. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
If you would like to make a comment on agenda item 4, please use the raise hands on speaker or on Zoom or in public. No? Okay. No comment. Back to you.
So I'll try and go through as quickly as possible. So included in the agenda packet was the letter to the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors and the civil grand jury in response. At our September meeting, we talked about the grand jury report and their recommendations, and it was our understanding that there wasn't going to be any action taken on that anytime in the near future, that the county was going to draft a response, and I was under the impression that we had some time. but my friends over at Fix in San Mateo let me know the night before the meeting that it was on the agenda. So I stayed up until about 2 in the morning and wrote this letter because I felt like it was imperative that we address some of the inconsistencies in the county statement. So that went to the Board of Supervisors as well as to the civil grand jury. And I did hear back from the civil grand jury, and they were appreciative of our response. I also wanted to let everyone know that I met with myself and several members of the community from ACLU in our care. I could be missing a few. We met with President David Canepa about the food at the hall. And so he was going to be looking to see if we might be able to transfer it over to the San Mateo County Medical Center. We're going to be giving a report to the Board of Supervisors on December 9th. We're going to be giving them an update on what we're up to, what's important, what we're looking for, what's happening. So that's going to be happening on the 16th. Have any questions? I'm just trying to move through the agenda.
Is it the 9th or the 16th?
The 9th.
And is that in person?
Yeah, it's going to be an in-person presentation, but everybody's welcome to join on Zoom or however you would like.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. We take public comment?
Yeah. Do we have any public comment on Zoom or in person for item number 5? No public comment.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
And then I just would like to, a quick update. It looks like we're going to be taking our vote for officers next month, but if Commissioner Ling would like to just give us a brief update.
Yes, we plan on postponing the votes and nominations until next meeting so that we can figure out our nominations and what our candidates will be.
Thank you so much. Do we need to take public comment? Okay, go ahead.
Do we have any public comment online for item number 6 or in person? No
Okay,
public.
so next up, we have 3 minutes. I'm sorry, Jen. Could you give us a brief update on the Delinquency Prevention and Action Conference? Maybe just reiterate what the date is. We're raising money. We're meeting with all kinds of people.
Since the chair is rushing me. Okay, so I just want to start with the fact that Commissioner Ali is also a trustee for the Jefferson Elementary School District, and he and Superintendent Sandy McCulloch had invited us to come speak, and that was the start of the school district liaison initiative. So with under the this initiative, that's our coming out, that's our introducing ourselves to all of our 23 school districts. We've got 22 more to go. And so we appreciate the invite. Former colleague, Trustee Ali / Commissioner. And so what we did there, Johanna and I presented, and it was just an explanation of what the JJDPC is and what our roles and responsibilities are and what our initiatives what initiatives we're working on currently. So we did share all of the initiatives that the commission is working on. We also shared about the information about the Prevention Action Schools, Communities, and Youth Voices Conference on January 7th, 2026. Our co-sponsorship application with College San Mateo was approved by the leadership team. And so what that means is that they will be waiving the facilities fees in use of the Bayview Dining Room. And that's where we're going to hold our space. We're also going to be holding the workshops. So the planning committee, we've been very busy. We've been meeting every Tuesday since September 30th, every Tuesday from 4 to 5 via Zoom. And we have a good range of folks throughout the county who sits on this planning committee. So we will be having a keynote speaker. We already have identified the topics of our workshops that we're going to be providing to our key educational stakeholders and partners. And we also have identified the facilitators in their own, in their level of expertise to facilitate these conversations. And we will be having, so in partnership with Fly, they will be securing the part of where we have system impacted youth panel. And so we will be having that moderator to ask those questions about their experience with the school to prison pipeline conversation. So we also will be having about 30, I think over 30 community-based organizations that will be present, that will be having this will be their opportunity to introduce themselves to the 23 school district partners. And so we have been really working hard on securing sponsorships. We just got a check today from, I don't know how many of you all know, but we have a casino in my hometown, San Bruno. It's called Artichoke Joe's. It's been there since 1916. And the owners there, they have a long history of supporting community work. And so I will share with you that I want to read a letter if possible. So it says, Artichoke Joe's is pleased to present the enclosed donation of $2,500 to San Mateo County Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Commission for the purpose of the first annual Prevention and Action Schools, Communities, and Youth Voices Conference hosted by the commission. We appreciate all that you do for the children in the community and can't thank you enough. We wish you all and your organization all the best. And so we already have secured various amounts of different, we have 4 sponsorship levels that we have been really aggressive on sending out for community partners to support this very important work that we're doing. And I will share with you, this has picked up a lot of traction. And so we're full speed ahead and we're looking forward to it. We're very excited. And just FYI, January 7th, y'all, it's going to be all hands on deck. So please make sure that you're excited at CS January 7th.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all of your work on that. So we'll have to call for public comment, and then I have 2 announcements. And I realize we're at 7:17, so I'm being mindful and trying to go as quickly as possible. So public comment on the conference?
Do we have any public comment online for item number 7? Nope. Back to you, Chair.
So in announcements, I just want to point out in the agenda packet is a recent Court of Appeal case out of Sacramento, the 3rd Appellate District. It's involving an SYTF youth, and it's in Ray HT. And in that opinion, the court addressed the probation's responsibility to provide maintenance, which would be things like housing and food and basic necessities. So that's really important case law that we should be aware of as kids start to transition and move into least restrictive placements. And we're moving into a different phase now in the system. And then lastly, I'd like to adjourn this meeting in memory of Sean P., who passed away last month. Thank you all for being here tonight. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.